What has Heartland Rugby, rural rugby, given to the national game?
Oh, enormous amount over a long time. A lot of All Blacks strapped on their first rugby boots in country areas of New Zealand, and that never should be forgotten.
The Wairarapa Bush, the area is set in a valley between two sets of hills. We've got mountains running up the centre of the country, and so that forms the western boundary. Out to the east we've got rolling hill country that stretches 40 k's out to the coast. The main industry is sheep and beef farming, and the climate here is pretty good for growing Pinot Noir grapes and producing not bad red wine, in fairness. Masterton sort of sits at the northern end of the Wairarapa Valley itself, so we call this a rural service town. Dotted down the valley there are 4 or 5 smaller towns, Greytown, Featherston, Carterton, Martinborough. All of those towns are probably 2,000 or 3,000 people, and they all have a rugby club in them, and you know it gets pretty tense, and there's some pretty good rivalry going on.
New Zealand rugby is quite unique. It's different from around the rest of the world. So we have the All Blacks, which is the ultimate, and that's what we all aspire to be. Underneath that, we have the Super 18 teams, or the franchises here in New Zealand, and then we have the big cities who are in the Provincial National Championship. 26 unions, but 12 of those unions are in what we call the Heartland Championship. We're one of them, Wairarapa Bush, and we have 13 rugby clubs. So in that club environment, the best of those players from those 13 clubs then get to represent Wairarapa Bush.
The representative team Wairarapa Bush is based here. That sort of defines the province and who people are. And so when Wairarapa Bush are playing, you come into support, so they travel in. And the town, Masterton itself, has 4 or 5 pretty good secondary schools. That brings mums and dads in to be involved in their kids' rugby at the towns, and then often they'll stay on for the club game on Saturday afternoon.
We did some calculations about 3 years ago, and we worked out that a quarter of our population is involved in rugby at some stage during the week. And for 20 odd weeks, and followed up with a Heartland Championship, you know, we've got a pretty proud and proactive group.
Yeah, rugby's been very strong here, right from when it was first introduced into New Zealand. I don't think I can emphasise how important it is to the small districts of the Wairarapa. They all go along on Saturdays. They go to the after-match function. They provide the service for the feed after the game. It's a focal point for the people of the district to go on a Saturday afternoon. So it is important.
These clubs, as the sort of social centre, the Saturday morning rugby with the small blacks, the under 13-year-olds, is hugely popular. And that's a real social setting for the parents. Mums are chatting on the sidelines, dads are catching up, they'll be doing deals on selling sheep and cattle and all the rest of it, talking about duck shooting season, whatever it might be, but it's all happening around their kids' rugby, and then they may stay and watch the senior team or an under-21 team or a president's grades more social team, or they're playing in it. So, it's all based around the footy club on Saturday.
The future for country rugby has got to, we've got to have it strong. We've got to keep working at it. We can't let it fall off, because this is our breeding area for the next lot of All Blacks. The administrators in those small clubs are working very, very hard to keep rugby in the forefront of the district. And if they just gave it away and just waited for it to happen, it wouldn't happen. Those clubs may die, and that would be terrible for country rugby.
4 years ago, Wairarapa Bush was in a very difficult position. Financially, it was cash-strapped, had to be bailed out by New Zealand Rugby. The playing numbers had dwindled, and there wasn't much cohesion around through the clubs. So we changed the way we marketed and produced the game of rugby in the Wairarapa. We started putting in the Wednesday nights, the Friday nights rugby, and really thought about the family unit. So in that period of time, we've actually had growth in 2 areas. One is the junior rugby, but the most incredible statistic we've got going on at the moment is that we're having growth in adult rugby. So I'm not quite sure what the magic water is, but it's all about people. And if you really look after your people, they'll come, they'll participate.
You battle, but it is confined to within the white lines and within the 80 minutes, and then you share a drink together and you tell porkies and tales about what happened out there, and that sense of spirit just permeates, and away it goes, takes on a life of its own, and it's one of the things that helps bind everyone together.